everyone, welcome to Autocar Professional. If you have been watching us, you know we analyze monthly figures every month. But this is an exception. That's because last month, two-wheeler EVs made records and there's a lot of learning to be had from those numbers. What are those learnings? I have industry expert Arun Malhotra with me, like always. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Like we saw record-breaking FY26, many segments broke record, but there's a specific trend that we saw in two-wheeler EVs. First of all, month-on-month increase was 70%.
That's right.
That's a phenomenal number. It's almost 2 lakhs EVs sold. There was a looming change in policy happening, but that change in policy is still some time away, and government extended the PME drive till July. But I think Iran war played a big role.
So, Mugdha, the 2 lakh figure it converted into, which was a record number, and this converted to a penetration of 9.5% in the two-wheeler market, which is a record. It used to hover around 6 to 7%.
Yeah.
The second interesting part is there were not much of schemes. Sometimes what happens is when you have record sales, there's some very attractive schemes. That wasn't there.
When you talk about scheme, you mean discounts on products?
Discounts of schemes which were there. And the PME drive was there, but there was a rumor it will be discontinued for April, but it was only 5,000 rupees, which was live. But I think what you mentioned, the Iran war, there are a lot of fence sitters who were there, who used to bet whether electric vehicle is right. And people saw probably there will be a shortage of petrol or there's a impending increase on price. So the fence sitters also shifted this side. This has led to it. And what has resulted in it? It's a complete stock out of electric vehicles in the market.
So do you think this is an inflection point, because reaching 10% is an amazing number, amazing feat. If you see any other EV market, I think only three-wheelers is where the EV penetration is higher than that. But in personal space, I think this is the highest we have seen.
So clearly it's an inflection point, but how much it will sustain or has to be seen, because if the oil prices go up dramatically by the end of the month, this can maintain sustainable momentum.
Well, all prices are expected to go
but how much they go up?
After May.
How much they go up? That's an important point. Second, probably in April, the industry is not geared up for production to that extent. So probably demand may be there, but supply would not be there. But I think the bigger bottleneck, which is where it will get caught or stuck up between the 9 to 13% is motorcycles, which contribute 2/3 of the market. We still don't have any reasonable presence in the motorcycle market.
Well, Royal Enfield just launched the Flying Flea, but that starts at 2 to 3 lakhs without BAS, and with BAS it's around 2 lakhs. But that's also at the premium end of the market, not for the mass market segment. So on the entry level segment. Do you think that is the kind of product that is needed?
If you look at the two-wheeler industry, the starting in ICE engines, the starting price of ICE motorcycles is 75,000 and scooters 85,000. And now today you have scooters starting from 88,000, although they have lower range, to 1,80,000. So when the entry level price is 75,000-80,000 and you have a product at 2,60,000, it will cover a very minute constituency. So it may be successful. Enfield is a very good established company, but I don't think it will be able to change the dynamics of the industry. You need still a mass player.
I want to understand this. What is your view on motorcycle EVs? There are a couple of players who are existing, but they are very small, besides Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield is the first legacy player which has launched, but there are startups who are into EV motorcycles. But do you think a motorcycle buyer will actually go for an EV? Because there's a thrill of the sound that the EV makes. I think ultraviolet is one product which at least enthusiasts tend to like. The way they are designed and the promises that they make. But do you think motorcycles will also face a perception issue, EV motorcycles?
So, before we come to the perception issue, we must look at the manufacturing issue. Motorcycles by design, first of all, motorcycles will have to have a higher range, higher power. So the size of the battery goes up, or the capacity of the battery goes up. It leads to two problems. One, it leads to price increase dramatically. Second, in the motorcycle design, there's no real place for even stocking that battery.
Yeah.
You'll be either in the fuel tank or
CG.
you'll be sitting on that.
Yeah.
So the whole dynamics of it is not there. And even the evolution of the electric vehicles, whether it's happened from China or any other country, it has started on a scooter journey.
Yeah.
Nobody's been able to really crack that code of price, value, motorcycle buzz in that part of it. So it's also a manufacturing issue and a price issue more than the excitement issue. I mean, you'll have ultraviolets and Enfields will be there, but that's a microscopic minority.
Yeah.
Somebody has to crack the code in the mass-based motorcycles. And India, since is the largest two-wheeler manufacturer, the legacy players are all there, Hero, TVS, they have to do it.
Okay, that reminds me, the market share change in two-wheelers EV industry has been phenomenal. If you see, the number one player 2 years back is now much smaller than what it was.
You're absolutely right.
And if you take a longer period of 5 years, then they don't even exist in the top 10 now.
You're absolutely right. In 2020-21, Hero Electric and Okinawa used to contribute 60% of the market.
Yeah.
These two manufacturers don't even exist today.
Mhm.
1.5 years
I
back.
mean, they do, but
No, they don't
Okinawa
exist.
is very, very small.
100, 200, I mean,
Yeah.
0, 100 is virtually in a 2 lakh market.
Yeah.
If you're 100, you don't exist today.
True.
Then come to Ola. 20 months back, it was the unquestionable leader. You just talk of 1 lakh things. It was had touched 40% market share. The market share is sliding, and last 2 months, the market share is 5%.
Yeah.
Legacy players, which people thought they were flat-footed or very conservative, today the top 3 legacy players who are there, TVS, Bajaj, Hero, contribute 60% of the market.
Yeah.
The only, in the startup space, the only company which has really done a great job is Ather, which is consolidated. It's at number 3 position.
And you remember how initially when the competition was Ola and Ather, and people used to say that Ather is very conservative. So I think conservatives are winning now.
see, EV industry is also to some extent a changing technology industry, but also a marathon race.
Sure.
You have to focus on product, quality, customer. So it takes time. And also this industry was evolving. So legacy players have moved in there, and Ather has focused on quality, parameters and performance, and they've gone about in a very steady, organized, conservative manner.
Yeah.
So that's different. But the big story is among the top 4, 3 of them are legacy players, and 1 is a startup. And out of the 350 startups which were there existed 2 or 3 years back, we are down to 100. And there are only 15 people who are manufacturing more than 1,000 vehicles. So there will be another shake-off.
In this shake-off, there is a hand of policy as well. When FAME, lots of startups were relying on FAME, and when the FAME structure changed and it became more consumer-oriented and less support to the manufacturer, that also changed the dynamics of the industry. Lots of startups had to step away after that big change happened, and of course there were, we know the story behind FAME and manipulation of FAME.
3 years back, the FAME incentive was substantial, 40,000 rupees. On a 1.5 lakh, 40,000. Now that the FAME or the PME drive incentive is hardly 5,000, virtually nil from April. So that has disappeared. Second, there were a lot of Chinese kits which were being imported and just being manufactured, and they were also suspect on quality in terms of after-sales service. So when customers had experience, they realized that they need some products which are good quality, which are a backing after sales, and to that extent, customers also evolved.
And also, government's policy was supporting the industry in the beginning, which was a little bit more liberal. But as industry progressed, government policy started focusing more on making sure that you are actually producing in India. They tried to tighten the nuts and bolts of the policy to make sure that the products are actually being produced, at least to some extent. There's value add happening, and you're not just importing kits and selling in India.
So there, clearly this domestic value addition and quality, because the technology which was basically coming from China, and which was like a screwdriver technology, was the rejected or the low end quality. Seized. And I think the legacy players have focused on this. They also try to increase the range of vehicles.
And on that front of this technology, the technology shift also happened where better quality batteries started getting used.
Absolutely. Instead of lead acid batteries, we had lithium ion batteries. Instead of these low speed vehicles which didn't require registration, which could just be pushed through. There is a descent in the low end speed thing is just going down dramatically. It's down to 20,000, which used to 80,000 a month. So clearly there is a change in technology and people are looking for features, comfort, convenience.
Range.
And
Yeah.
range which is there.
Mhm.
And range, although there is a trade-off between range and price. So you have vehicles at 85,000 today, which gives a range of effectively 80 kilometers. But if you spend 1.6, you get a range of 180 kilometers.
Yeah.
So that's one equation you have to keep in mind.
But how do you see technology changing the shape of two-wheeler electric vehicle market?
See, the basic technology is the battery, if you ask me. And battery is the moment you have a lithium-ion battery and you have a combination of lithium with other materials. So there is a lot of work going on in technology in terms of solid-state batteries. So if there is a dramatic change in battery technology in terms of their, you can say in the time required for charging or their price, it can make a big difference in the market. The second thing is we still as India were dependent on imports from China, other countries. Today, the production linked incentive scheme and the advanced cell chemistry scheme, which is focused on making India self-sufficient on those components, is there. It's at a slow start, but I think it is low. So one side, the government incentive, PL and ACC will probably come to more throttle in a year, 2 year time. Second of all, so much research going on nationally, internationally. If you can crack the battery technology in terms of its size, price, and effectiveness, it can make a big difference. And that will be the big changing point.
Now let's talk about what we expect from FY27. What are your expectations? How will the industry shape this year?
So, last 3 years, the growth has been 30, 26, 22%. And we've touched about 15 lakh thing. I believe we can still continue that 20%, 25% growth. But slightly difficult to imagine how this 30%, which a lot of analysts or what our government is talking of, will be achieved by 2030. So this can go up from 7.5 for the entire year, although it was 9.8 in the thing, can go up to 10, 11, 12%. It's a ascendancy. And if the more the mass players, if they introduce more products, difficult segments, a lower price thing, more competitive products, and if the oil prices shoot up dramatically, or government changes policy, that will make a big shift immediately.
What about on this pricing? Do you think we are anywhere closer to getting economies of scale for legacy players or for a player like Ather, which is doing substantial numbers?
So if you look at TVS, Bajaj, Ather, they are already on that figure of 40, 45,000.
Yeah.
So the moment they ramp up this production to 70, 80,000 and it touches a lakh, I think the economies of scale and then better indigenization and PLICC, if all these things combine together, it can be a multiplier factor. But I think battery and indigenization will have a role to play, and motorcycle, which is the untapped potential like iceberg, has to become upfront.
Well, lots of companies are planning to get their motorcycles in the market, so 2027 is going to be an interesting year.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Arun, sir, for joining us today and giving this analysis. Thank you.